that's just, that is ridiculous. In a world where cars have become heavy and disconnected, I think this new BMW M2 could be the answer. With its small, compact size, with a proper engine underneath, this could well be the ultimate M car.
Originally launched in 2016, the BMW M2 was an instant hit, a compact, rear-wheel drive coupe that quickly became a modern icon. And now it's back. More power, more weight, and a whole lot more aggression.
Underneath here, the engine literally fills the front of this car, and for good reason, because this is a 3-litre straight-six twin-turbo engine. It produces 453 horsepower with an 8-speed automatic transmission fitted to this vehicle, meaning a 0 to 60 time of just 4.1 seconds.
BMW nailed the engine. The styling though, that divided people.
When they first announced this car, everybody hated it. Everybody looked at it and said, "Oh, what have they done to the BMW M2?" And over time, it's grown on people, including me. I was one of those people that didn't like it, but it's really started to grow on me, and the front is especially successful from a design point of view. The really square front end, the huge air intakes, I just think it makes the car look really modern but also super aggressive. The owner has also fitted the 50th anniversary badge to the front of the car, giving a little retro vibe as well. But I just think the whole front, the design, it's not cluttered, it's not messy, it's just aggressive. I just think it looks fabulous. It's round the back that for me is just a bit more challenging from a design point of view. Yes, it looks very striking, looks very aggressive, but I don't know, it's just kind of a bit weird. These kind of squared off bits, the small lights, I don't know. The owner of this car has fitted this amazing, like ducktail spoiler, looks straight off something like a 911, full carbon fibre, and I think that does kind of sort out the proportions of the back end. Without this, it's just a little bit flat, a little bit low. But overall, I think the design is pretty good. But never mind the design. Let's take it for a drive and find out if it really is the ultimate BMW M car. Well, I've driven a couple of BMWs in the past and one M car, and the M car in question was the E92 M3 with that 4-litre V8, and that remains to be one of the greatest engines I've ever experienced in a car. The sound that thing made, it just dominated everything. And that car was also quite small when you consider that everything's got so much bigger. It seems that the M cars have all got bigger as well. The M5 is ginormous, and even this M2, it's probably not too far away from what the M3 was back then. So it's not exactly a small car, but compared with some of its rivals, it's still small. It's still quite light on its feet, and most importantly, it's rear-wheel drive. Everything's gone all-wheel drive, and they are bringing out an all-wheel drive version of this car. But I think it would just spoil the recipe, because the rear-wheel drive in this car keeps it exciting and engaging. And it means that you have to respect it, especially on damp roads, because it will kick the back end out. But it doesn't mean to say it doesn't feel safe. The car's safety systems are exceptionally good and keep you well in check. So even if the back end does lose, the traction control will soon grab it and hold you back on the right side of the road. Makes you feel very safe. Its on-road capability is nothing short of a masterpiece. The speed you can carry across roads like this on Blakey Ridge is unbelievable. The car feels super planted, it feels really comfortable, and you look down and the speed, you don't expect to see what's on the dials because you're expecting to be traveling a lot slower. It feels very quiet in here, it's very calm and composed, and yet it's got over 400 horsepower. 450 horsepower in a car the size of a shoe. And then there's the gearbox. So this isn't a flappy paddle DSG double clutch thingy. This is a torque converter. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Torque converters over the years have got better and better. They're very reliable. And this one is pretty nice actually. Yes, it makes some random decisions in towns, when you're slowing down and coming up to roundabouts. It does do random things, and I think a few people have mentioned that in the past. But overall, it's quick. It changes down when you want it to. And it changes up really quickly as well. I think most people wouldn't actually realise that this wasn't a dual clutch system. It feels every bit as quick as one. This car is on Pirelli tyres, it's on good tyres, and it just gives you so much confidence in the bend, and the speed you're able to carry through is just unbelievable. You would expect it to have four-wheel drive. It's got that much mid-bend grip. Feels really safe, and the steering is super precise. Now, I love a BMW steering wheel, and this one is about as good as it gets. It's perfect in the hand, and it just has a nice bit of weight to it, despite everything at the moment being set to comfort mode. There are a few oddities in the car though, and this is not having a go at BMW, this is the same for pretty much every manufacturer, but BMW seem to have just gone along with it like everyone else has, and they've buried everything you need in the infotainment screen. And when you're driving a car with 450 horsepower, it's very, very annoying to have to go into a climate menu that is a full stretch away just to turn the aircon on. It's very annoying, very distracting, and yes, it will do voice commands and all that other stuff. Just to make yourself colder, you have to do a full stretch, take your eyes off the road, and go into a menu screen. I don't approve of that, especially in a car that's designed for performance.
The M2 comes packed with some serious performance kit as standard. Adaptive suspension, an active differential, and a switchable exhaust that can go from quiet to slightly less quiet at the press of a button. Inside, it's actually more usable than you might expect. The rear seats are small, but they're fine for kids or shorter trips with adults, and overall everything feels solidly put together. You get BMW's huge curved display, loads of different drive mode combinations, and these brilliant M1 and M2 buttons that let you instantly transform the character of the car depending on your mood. But for a car that's getting close to £70,000 new, there's still a few odd things. Slam the door and it sounds like an old Vauxhall from the 90s. The lower interior plastics feel very scratchy, and the door pins aren't lined so everything just rattles about. It's sporty, modern and packed with tech, but in a few places it doesn't quite feel as expensive as it should.
See what I mean? Like the back end just... It's almost like too fast for the road. Like this amount of horsepower is too much. And I've never thought I'd say that, but it just is. You don't need it. By the time you've reached national speed limit, you've only used 10% of the car's power and you're backing off and you're going for the brakes. It's so powerful. I can only imagine what this would be like on a track. Wow, what a thing, what an engine. And the thing that I love about this BMW engine, and I've driven the Toyota Supra very recently and that's got the same engine, is how silky smooth it is. The Porsche's flat six is more aggressive, rougher. This is smoother. This is, wow. Oh. And you can't detect when it's changing gear. It is so fast, so smooth. Wow, I'm a huge fan of this car, a huge fan. And the steering feel is something else I'd like to mention, because a lot of modern cars, they don't have steering feel. Electric systems have come in and completely ruined everything. But in this, you can really feel the road. In fact, the steering wheel sort of kicks back at you over some of the really bad stuff, meaning you know exactly where those front wheels are at any given moment. And the rack is really good. It allows you to take some really nice tight turns without really putting much lock on. What a thing. And then there's the heads-up display. It just makes you feel like you're in a race car. It's got a nice blue band across it and shows you speed and your sat-nav directions, and these carbon fibre panels are very nice indeed, and there's real carbon fibre all over the interior. Yes, it's very good. And one of the things that I really enjoy about driving it is when you look out of the mirrors and you can see those wide haunches on the back. That's giving me very much Porsche Cayman vibes, because that's the view I get out in my Cayman. That's really cool. The only thing that puzzles me with stuff like this, cars like this, is the fact that you're getting a car that is capable of destroying a racetrack and hammering a B road faster than anything else you've ever been in. But it's not a dedicated sports car. What it is it's a normal, everyday BMW that they've made into a sports car. And it does make me wonder, at this kind of price point, with seats that in the back that aren't really that usable, why you would choose a BMW M2 over something like a Supra or a Cayman and just have a dedicated sports car instead. Yes, some people may need the occasional rear seats, but there are sports cars out there offering that as well, just a couple of small seats to jump into. So I don't know if I would go for something like this, because it's kind of gone beyond hot hatch and it's entered the realm of the sports car. And I just think the 1.7 ton of this car does kind of mute it a little bit, and maybe you would be having a lot more fun in something with less power, but crucially less weight than this on this road. But that's not to say I don't enjoy this car. It's an absolute riot on the road. It's fabulous. Yes, it could do with some modifications, and the first one being that exhaust. It's incredibly quiet, even with the valves open. There's pretty much no noise. You can hear some coming through, but I believe that's fake from the speakers. It's not actually exhaust noise. And yes, it does have a valve system, but again, you press it and very little changes. It's not that loud, but a quick exhaust mod could see that be changed. But I think most people wouldn't want to do that, because you buy a car like this probably to use as your daily driver. And one hell of a daily driver this one is. Honestly, there's few cars I drive where I get in and immediately just feel like connected to the car. Mainly that happens in Porsches. And it's happened in this one. I feel like I get in and it just feels right. Everything feels perfect. Feels like it's been designed for me. You feel like you're putting it on, like a really good, well-fitted backpack. Just, that's how it feels. It feels small, it feels nimble, and it's brutally quick. So this is a 2023 plate car with 15,000 miles on it. New, it was almost £70,000. But secondhand, they can be picked up for around 45,000, which is pretty good. They've not lost so much money, but they've lost enough to make it an alternative to something like a brand new Golf R or Audi S3. And I think if you were looking at either of those two cars, you'd be better off getting a couple-year-old one of these, because I think you're just going to find it that bit more exciting with it being rear-wheel drive. But that's not to say this is going to be for everyone. Rear-wheel drive cars take some learning, take some understanding, and ultimately you need to show them some respect, because they can bite. And when they do, they bite hard. And then there's the brakes. The brakes on this car are absolutely monstrous, and they're very heavily servo assisted. But that doesn't mean to say they don't have much pedal feel. You can really modulate it despite the heavy servo. But the minute you do go on the brakes, especially after pushing on a little bit, like back there, you feel that 1.7 ton of the car pushing you into the bend. I just feel like I don't understand where this weight's come from. And if they'd shrunk the car down a little bit more, they could have got rid of some of that weight. It seems a shame that everything's got a bit heavier. And the only way they've been able to counteract it is just by adding in more power. It's a weird one for me. So, the BMW M2. It's a car that I thought before I set off today that I was going to hate. I thought it would be a little bit boring. Turns out it's anything but boring. If anything, it's too fast, it's too powerful, and too exciting to use on an everyday road. But if I was looking to get a car that wasn't a Cayman, and instead was something I could use on a more practical basis, the M2 would definitely be a contender, because it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.